Alright, I am back. Coming to you from the Sunshine State, otherwise known by lovely T as Ratchet Ass Florida. Been gone for a minute because I just don't, well, I lost interest in a lot of reality shows. I had them on my DVR, but by the time I had time to watch them on the weekend, I didn't feel like watching them, and I just watched horror movies instead. So that's one thing. Other thing, I was busy with making costumes, which I really enjoy, but it seems there's a demand for them outside of the Halloween market. So I'm going to start making costumes for cosplayers and some Comic-Con attendees and get into some steampunk stuff. So I'll be happy with that. Hopefully this looks good because it's the first time I'm using an HD camera. I don't know whether my face is HD ready, but it's what I have to use right now because Apple is being a bitch again. And by that, before I get started on Real Housewives of Atlanta, I have to do a very short Apple rant because they're really irritating me every time they do an operating system update. When I updated to, what was it, Mountain Lion was... I think I updated from Mountain Lion to Snow Leopard or something like that. Anyways, when I had Mountain Lion, I was able to plug my Android phone into the Mac, take my photos off of it. I could put music on it. I had to use a go-between app called Double Twist in order to get iTunes to talk to the Android. But that worked. Updated to Snow Leopard, it no longer recognizes the phone. You plug it in and the laptop's like, I'm sorry, did you plug something into me? I don't care because it's not Apple, so I'm not going to read it at all. So that was the first thing. Next, we update to Maverick. Next thing that happens, all of a sudden my iPhoto is not working properly anymore. And my photo booth is not working properly anymore because I used to just open up the laptop, click on the photo booth, and start recording. That's not working correctly. It keeps freezing up. And every time there's an update, something like that happens. Now I'm hearing a lot of people complaining about the OS 8 on the iPad messing up their stuff, so I'm still on OS 7 and I'm going to stay there until, you know, such a time comes where they get their stuff together. And this is coming from, you know, a Mac supporter. When we go way back, we go back to the Apple II with the double floppy disk drive, the big floppy disk drive back in the 80s with the modem that you put the telephone receiver on and here to dial up and all that. I went from that, and then I had an iBook, and then I had the MacBook Pro with the silver keys, and now I have the one with the black keys. I had a G5 desktop, and I have an iPad, so I have nothing against Apple products in the past. It's just now, it's like they're just irritated. I don't know, maybe it's because Steve Jobs passed away, but we're just having a lot of fuckery going on here. And I feel like they're trying to force me to get an iPhone, which is not going to work. Because every time you do some crappy stuff like that, Apple, it only takes a couple months for the Android community to come up with an app or a go-between to fix whatever problems that you try to keep putting up. So you keep stacking them up, and Android keeps knocking them down. So that's all I gotta say about that, and then we'll move on to the Real Housewives. So the first housewife they start talking to is Nene. And you can tell by my exasperated side that I'm just not for her at all. She's got some show in Vegas. She's still feeling herself. Still calling herself an actress, even though she plays the same loud, sassy caricature of a stereotype of coonery and buffoonery. But, you know, she's enjoying herself. She really believes that she's part of the Hollywood community, even though she doesn't realize that they're not laughing with her, they're laughing at her. Like a trained monkey. Oh, we need a sassy, loud, you know, donkey-acting black woman. Let's get Nene Leakes. And I'm not going to call her an actress till she can actually play something other than that. I will not take away from her that she did come up. I mean, she made a really good come up from being just on a reality show, and she stretched that 15 minutes of fame. And there's very few people who have been able to do that. I think Tanisha from Bad Girls Club has been able to do that. Riff Raff from G's to Gents, he's still popping up places. And I think the biggest one is Jamie Chung. She was on a Real World, I want to say it was San Diego, but it might have been the one in Texas. I think they had one in Texas. But anyway, she's been in regular release to theaters movies like Sucker Punch. and she's still acting. She still hasn't had really, no, I think she just did have a leading role, but I can't remember the name of the movie. I just saw the trailer for it. But yeah, so I won't take that away from her. She's successful in that, right? Oh, did you notice the menagerie of gay guys she had around her to try to prove that she doesn't have a problem with the gay community, even though she said some pretty messed up things before? And she even had a gay little person. Like, that's the ultimate of in in just trying to make yourself seem like something that you're not. And I have to agree with Gregory Hemphill. Shout out to Gregory Hemphill. Glad that you are back. He made an assertion that there are some women who view gay people as they really have no use for them other than hair, makeup, and stereotypical things like that. I'll even go a step further. No use for them except for hair, makeup, and ego. I actually had an ex-friend that once said, "Ooh, a gay best friend, I have to get one of those." One of those, like an object, not a person. And I think some people really do think that way. And that's not cool at all. But like I said, ex-friend. So then we get Todd and Candy, and they're talking about Todd's 18-year-old daughter moving down from New York, and they're discussing how things will go in the house. Candy asks Todd, will you be giving her your Range Rover? And Todd's like, no, I think she'll be able to be okay with a Toyota. And of course, Candy's like, but the kids at Riley schools have cars like the Range Rover. And the thing is, I can kind of see both sides of it. I can see Todd's side of it, as in trying to make sure that the kids know what responsibility is, and also give them something to work towards. Because if you give somebody everything, they have no purpose to work towards anything. But I see what Candy's trying to do by saying that, you know, your daughter can't come here and see Riley has X, Y, and Z, and she doesn't have X, Y, and Z, because that's not going to look fair. But the one thing that Candy said that bothered me is when she did mention the kids at Riley School have this and that and the other. And that was kind of followery-ish to me. And I don't like when people are keeping up with the Joneses. Oh, they have this, so we have to have this. And that's not a good reason to have things. I mean, you should live by what you really want, not keeping up with the Joneses. Especially when you are Candy Burris. You don't have to keep up with anybody. They should be keeping up with you. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. Oh, they discuss Phaedra and Apollo situation, and you could tell by the questions being asked that Todd just wants to know that, or wants to know if Candy would have his back. That's what, if you read between the lines, what he's really saying. Candy is trying to remain neutral, as she always does. You would think that maybe it's because she's a business owner and she wants to maintain a certain type of image, but at the same time, if you're a business owner, wouldn't you want to distance yourself away from any illegal activities? Even if it's, you know, even if you some way, somehow believe that Phaedra's not at all involved, you still would want to, I would think you'd want to distance yourself from that. But Candy seems to be, like I said earlier, a little bit followery-ish. It's kind of like, I'll put it this way, it's like the person that follows the bully in school. Like, they're not beating up anybody, but by them standing there and not saying anything, it's like they're co-signing what the bully's doing, or they're condoning what the bully's doing, and that's equally bad in my opinion. Then they show Portia, poor simple little Portia, and what was she doing? Oh yeah, taking photos in a bikini to advertise her weave line, which makes no sense at all, because you're supposed to be advertising hair, but okay. She still looks like Jiminy Cricket with a weave on and some fake boobs, but whatever makes her happy. I don't care, so I'm moving on. Cynthia says she's happier because Nini's not around, and that her life is better without Nini, and that her relationship with Peter is better without Nini, which really 50% of that is her own fault, because she let Nini call Peter a bitch and didn't do anything about it. Didn't really even say anything to her about it. And so that's your own fault, Cynthia. Then you're still letting Peter try to talk you into his business plans, which after you get, you know, close to 6 years old and you're looking like Papa Smurf, you kind of got to think, this is not working, I need to try something else. But then maybe what his real vocation is just talking women into giving him money. So if Cynthia's simple enough to do that, then I mean, I guess so. Did you notice he, I believe I'm pretty sure I heard him ask her for $40 for lunch. And I'm trying to figure out why doesn't he at least have $40 for lunch? That doesn't even make sense to me. I mean, it makes sense if you're 19 years old, you live in a dormitory, you work 10 hours a week, you gotta, you know, pay for books. Okay, I can see you not having $40. But when you are close to retirement age and you don't even have $40, that's a problem. Then we get to Kenya, and Cynthia goes over there and visits her, and as the producers instructed them to, they rehash the whole issue at hair pulling incident at the reunion. And I just feel like they're gonna try to ride that story until the wheels fall off. It really isn't that serious. I mean, especially if you've watched Bad Girls Club or Real Housewives of New Jersey even. It's not unusual for people to get into a fight at a reunion show. I would say it is kind of unusual for the age of these ladies, but that I don't see what the big deal is. People are all, you know, clutching their pearls and going and gagging over Portia pulling somebody's hair. I mean, that was weak. Very weak to me. But, what did I put in my notes? Oh, yeah, that I want Kenya to stop crying about it. That's just, I mean, she should be over it by now. And by her crying about it, that's giving it legs. She needs to stop giving it legs. And then also some of the videos that I'm watching, I see a lot of Kenya bashing, and I really don't understand why people hate her so much, because I don't see anything that she's done that is so much worse than anything that Nene's done or Phaedra's done. They're all equally messy chicks. That's why they're on the show. So I don't see why she's the worst. I just see, you know, a group of people being all against one person, because some of them don't even have a beef with her at all. They're just like that. Like, perfect example is Candy. There's no reason for Candy to take Phaedra's side when Kenya has done nothing to her. I just don't see. I just feel it's more followery crap. What else? Yeah, like I was saying, they're all messy. They all insult each other. So I don't see, you know, why she's supposedly so much worse than anyone else. In general, she's most of the time when she does get out of her pocket, it's in response to someone getting out of pocket with her first. And I just think that the other ladies on the show, they don't like people who are not followers. They like people who are lapdogs like Cynthia, or just straight up followers like Candy. And that's the reason why they didn't like Cherie. And that's the reason why they didn't like Kim, because Kim and Cherie would not follow. And as you see, Kenya will not follow. So I feel like it's that type of dynamic, that you're either in our group following us, or we're going to cast you off. And that's pretty sad to see women that age act like middle school girls. Let's see. Oh, one other thing about the bullhorn. People were complaining about, oh, Kenya had a bullhorn. Nene is a bullhorn. I mean, she only has one volume, and it's loud. So I don't see what the difference is. The scepter, I'll give you the scepter. That was kind of corny, and I wish she would have just brought back the fan instead of the scepter. I didn't like the scepter either. That's just doing too much. But I just didn't like how, I mean, I know, like I said earlier, the producers probably made them talk about it, or, you know, set it up for them to talk about, because I don't think Kenya really has a storyline aside from that, and that's sad in itself. But to see her sit there crying over it really bothered me. I feel like, why are you letting this person who's like 10 years your junior even get to you like that? Like, even if the producers wanted me to talk about it and I was Kenya, I would say something like, yeah, she pulled my hair, but if you notice, it's real and it's nice and strong. And if you want real and strong hair like mine, you could buy these Candy hair products, which she is, not Candy, Kenya hair products, which she is selling. So why wouldn't you take that opportunity to pretty much plug yourself? I mean, it's a perfect segue. My hair got pulled, it didn't come out, it still looks great, buy my stuff. That's what she should have done, and just paid Portia dust. Why even give her 2 seconds of your time? I mean, she literally has to buy pieces to look like you. She had to buy her boobs to look like Kenya. She had to buy her hair to look like Kenya. I would not be fazed by someone like her. Just, Mm-mm. Not only that, none of those girls have a doll. Kenya has a doll. I don't know. To me, that's something cool. If you have a doll, you're pretty much immortalized in time because that doll, when you're long gone, that doll will still be around. None of those chicks have a doll. It's impressive to me, and I remember that Kenya Moore doll. Oh, I did make a note of why I feel like she does that too. Um, it's sad. As beautiful as Kenya is, you can tell that she does a lot of what she does out of insecurity, especially the whole. I can't remember the guy's name, but I just feel like he had a Jerry curl, but he didn't have a Jerry curl. He probably had naturally curly hair, but just used way too much gel in it and it made it look like a Jerry curl. Can't remember his name. Tow truck driver guy or tow truck company owner guy. Faking like that's your boyfriend, that's pretty desperate. And even now, with the unnamed African boyfriend, I feel like it's fake and forced again, and that's so sad. Why would you feel so desperate that you have to fake having a boyfriend? Just be happy with yourself and with your accomplishments. But I can't fault her because we know her whole backstory with her mother and lack of communication with her mother, so we know, or not communication, lack of a relationship with her mother, so we know that's where that's coming from. And I really would love to see her on Iyanla Fix My Life. That might be really cool. So she can fix Kenya's life and try to make her understand that she doesn't need a dude to validate her. Because once she does that, her aura will change and she'll start to attract a better class of guys to her anyways. At least that's my theory. So now that we got that out of the way, let's get into Apollo and Phaedra because that's what everybody is talking about anyhow. Now, Phaedra is a lying liar who lies, so I don't know why anyone would ever believe that she was not involved. She's been caught in way too many lies, so I can't look at her and see anything that, and I can't see anything genuine about her at all. And then on top of that, when she made the statements that she made at the reunion show, and they were directed towards physical issues or medical issues, that's more than a low blow. I just feel like if you're supposedly a good Christian woman, you would never say anything like that. I mean, I believe it's Christians that say God don't like ugly. Why would you ever? I mean, you're invoking the Lord's name all the time, saying, what was it she said? Jesus fix it or something, or Lord? Yeah, I think it was Jesus fix it. Now, how can you say that and then behave the way you behave? That doesn't make sense to me. That's incongruent. I don't understand that. So I wouldn't trust her as far as I could throw her. What else? Yeah, I said that already. I didn't forget that. Apollo. This is the other reason why I believe she's involved. Apollo is very simple. We know that he is very simple. We know. I'm sorry. Every time I think of him, I think jovial. Everyone's downstairs being jovial. Oh God, that poor Apollo. Him and Kenya, not Kenya. Him and Portia should have got together. They would have been, evenly matched with their simpleness. But then at the same time, I don't want them to get together because then they'd have a bunch of simple kids, and we don't need more simple kids. We have enough fail videos on YouTube. But that and the $8,000 he was spending, bragging about spending at the strip club. One, spending it is stupid, and bragging about spending it on TV is stupid when you don't have a job to speak of. So there's no way that I could believe that he would be able to, that he would ever be able to orchestrate a wire, what was it, a wire transfer fraud is what they called it or something like that. I'm not familiar with all these frauds, but I don't think that he would be able to do that himself without someone else orchestrating it. And I really think he is a stool pigeon or a fall guy, basically. I think he was involved, but there's no way he orchestrated that himself. And there's no way that Phaedra didn't know about it, because if your husband suddenly comes up with an extra $3.2 million, that's not something that you can overlook. That's not, your husband comes home and he has like maybe, I didn't peep what kind of car he had, but let's say he came home and he had a $200,000 car. There's no way you're going to say, oh, well, he must have, tripped over a few $100,000 and found that on the street. There's no way she didn't know that. That's just, there's no logical way. I don't care how busy you are going to notice $3.2 million extra dollars. And on top of it, he slipped up. Now, being that he's a jailbird, he knows that snitches get stitches and they land in ditches. But he did slip up and he said the money we made when they were arguing back and forth. He didn't say the money I made. He said the money we made. That was a slip of the tongue, and that should let you know right there that she was involved. And that's why she didn't go to court. She didn't go to court because she was all that angry with him. If she was angry with him, I think she's more angry that he got caught than anything. She didn't go to court because she's trying to distance herself from the situation so that she's not implicated. And from what I hear, she has been subpoenaed and didn't show up for her subpoena. So I don't know whether that is something that's ongoing or whether that's been resolved or what. But that speaks volumes to her guilt in my eyes. Anything else? Apollo, we saw his family, his half-brother and his mother looks pretty rough, but according to him, she was on drugs, so that happens. I would have loved to hear what she had to say about anything. It seems like we've seen her twice on the show, but I don't believe we've ever heard her speak. And it would be nice just to, maybe she doesn't want to speak, but I would love to know what her opinion is. I would love to know what her opinion of her daughter-in-law is. That would be something, you know, if I could be a fly on the wall, I want to know that. I think the last thing before I wrap it up, because I don't want this video to be too long because I'm tired and there's pizza in the kitchen that I want to eat. And I know it's terrible to eat pizza and then go to sleep, but it feels really good and I can just get up in the morning and work it off. But aside from that, I don't see where everyone is talking about how great Apollo looks. I don't see that at all. He looks very average and common to me. I don't see where he's fine at all. I would say he has a decent build from the neck down, but there's nothing special about his face to me. I think a lot of people are just saying, well, I shouldn't say that I think that they are, but there's a possibility that there's a lot of people who are color struck and they just see light, bright, and think it's all right. And no, I don't see it. He's and the beard thing was throwing me off too, because in the confessionals he had this beard that it was almost giving me anxiety. The 5 o'clock shadow he had, it looked crazy. And then when he had the full beard, I just kept on thinking of that episode of Family Guy when Peter Griffin had the birds that's living in his beard. And that's every time I saw Apollo, I was expecting a little bird to pop out. I don't see it. But you know, Kanye shrug. That's what I gotta learn how to do the Kanye shrug. I think he does like that. There's a new lady. I don't know who she is. So I can't speak on her. I don't even think I might have saw a brief glimpse of her. I think, yeah, she was arguing with Kenya over some dude. But we'll see what that's about. I'm still a little sad that they didn't just let Marlo come on there. Not that I really love Marlo, but I just love how irritated she makes Nene. I almost want Cherie and Kim to come back, just so that there's some balance. Because I just feel like you got, you know, an imbalance. You got one person that's on their own, which would be Kenya. You got one person that's like a jellyfish, and that's Cynthia. You got one person who's just following the crowd because they don't want to make waves, and that's Candy. Then you have Phaedra and Nene, and if they find a third, like maybe if they hook up with Portia again, they'll be the axis of evil, and we can't have that. We need to have some balance. We need to have, like how the show started. The show started with, I think, stronger personality women, and now it's kind of, I don't know, it's too cliquey. I don't like all that cliquey stuff, but that's it. That's, as Forrest Gump would say, that's all I have to say about that. Until next week, check you later.